Therapists, have you ever thought about starting a private practice, but you just didn't know where to start? It doesn't have to be overwhelming. Let's go through step by step how I went from ideal to income as a solo therapist. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Shan. I'm a licensed mental health therapist and private practice owner. If you're new here, welcome. Come on in, come on in. On this channel, we talk all things mental health, educational topics for the general public, and then we also tap in to the business side when it comes to my therapist, growing your private practice, starting your private practice, expanding your income outside of your private practice. We do day in the lives. We do a lot over here on this channel. So be sure that you subscribe, like, and comment if you find this video beneficial. But let's jump into the topic. So I'm not going to lie to you. Starting a private practice can be a lot. And if I had someone go through step by step with me on starting a private practice, I probably would have been golden, but I had to go out there and do the research and find these things on my own. But good thing that you're here, because we are literally going to go through the beginning to the end of starting or scaling your private practice. I am not a lawyer. I am not a financial advisor or an accountant. If you need to go through the legal side, the paperwork side, or the financial side, I recommend you getting with a lawyer or a financial advisor to go through those parts of the business. I do have my notes here because I want to make sure that I hit on every single step I went through when I initially started my private practice, so you can have these tools as well. Okay, the first thing that you would do with any business, when you're starting any business, so disclaimer, I did have some business experience, some background, because I had a business before I opened up my private practice. I had a business mindset, and that's how I want you to step into this. As therapists, we often do not have that business mindset. This is a business. You are running a business. You are not running a charity. You are not running a nonprofit. You are running an organization where money is flowing in and money is flowing out. So I really need you to get your mindset adjusted to that, because they don't teach us that in grad school. So we are running a business. When you communicate with insurance companies, you're essentially in a business relationship and you need to treat it as such. Okay, with any business, the first thing you'll do is set up your LLC and EIN. Go ahead and Google whatever state you are in, setting up LLC I'm in Ohio, so I'll say LLC in Ohio. You can figure this out yourself. It's not hard. It wasn't hard for me. There's companies out there that will help you. I would just thoroughly do my research before paying someone. Not saying that you can't have these companies assist you, but I would do some research. I Googled setting up an LLC in Ohio when I first set up my first LLC, and it was pretty simple, step by step on how I would set it up in Ohio. I paid for it, and then they approved the LLC. Do not get caught up on the name. Do not get caught up on the name of the business. That's where a lot of people get stuck. I won't lie, my first business, I did get stuck, but the name is the name. Do not get caught up on the name. After you get your LLC, you'll get your EIN. So once you have that LLC, you'll file with the IRS to get your EIN. And it's important to have your EIN because when you're with insurance companies, you want to partner with them with your EIN and not your social security number. At least me personally, like I don't want my social security number attached to my business as my tax ID. I want my EIN. So make sure you get that EIN. Again, Googling how to get your EIN through the IRS. If it's a site you have to pay for, that getting your EIN is free. It's free through the IRS and you can file it free. Yes, can you have somebody help you? Again, do your research. But if it's a site that says, we'll file your EIN for this price, that's not the right site. It's literally through the IRS. So you'll go and get your EIN. Another important step that I recommend after getting your LLC and EIN is opening up a business bank account. And I think a lot of us skip this step. We need to keep our personal finances and our business finances separate. Open up that business checking savings account wherever you want to start and have your insurance payments or your self-pay payments go into that business account. Those things need to be separate. Do not skip that step. But you must have the LLC and the EIN to complete that step. So once you have all that set up, you maybe do your little logo, all of those things. The next important step is insurance. So liability insurance. You must have liability insurance to run your private practice. If you were working for an organization, they will have you under some type of liability insurance because it's the nature of the work. So research and figure out what company will work best for you. I have CAQH, but this is not sponsored. I am not putting them out there to tell you to get that insurance. I did my research, and that was the company that I ended up going with. Do your research, figure out what liability insurance will be best. And when you contract with insurance companies, they will tell you the limits that you need to have, and it's normally the same across the board. You can generally look up the limits within your state of how much liability insurance you need for your profession. Therapists and mental health professionals, if you're seeing clients every day and you're still Googling and going on Pinterest to find client worksheets, I have the perfect tool for you. For just 33 cents a day, you can get access to over 40 plus mental health workbooks. That's over 2,000 mental health worksheets, plus one new workbook every single week. These are not just random handouts. They're created by a therapist, trauma-informed, and ready to use. They're professional and tax deductible. If you're ready to take back your time, come join us over in the community, linked in the description. Okay, so we got the LLC out the way, we got the EIN out the way, the business bank account, the insurance, kind of the meat and potatoes of getting started. Now that we got all of that out the way, now we need to get our numbers in order. And when I say our numbers, I mean our MPI, our tax IDs, our Medicaid IDs, if that's something that you will be accepting from insurance companies. So MPI, we all should know what an MPI is unless you're a brand new therapist. But if you are working for an organization, your name is normally attached to an MPI number. And that pretty much gives the background of your credentials, who you are, your specialty, etc. It's like a social security number, but for your profession. So you will set up your MPI. If you do not have one, then you're starting from scratch. But it's pretty simple, step by step, on what you'll fill out to be able to get that MPI number. Don't stress too much about it. And if you are starting a group practice, it will also be beneficial to be able to get that group MPI number to be able to have for your group practice and have other clinicians underneath you. I have a solo practice, so I'm not familiar with group MPI numbers. That would be another YouTube video that maybe you can search to see how group MPI numbers work. But if you are starting off solo, go ahead and get that solo MPI number. Your tax ID, like I mentioned, your tax ID will be that EIN number. So we don't want to use our social security number. At least personally, I did not want to use my social security number. That EIN number that the IRS gave you when you filed your LLC and then you filed your EIN. Do not accept every insurance contract. Do not, if there are rates and you're like, what is this? This is a crazy low rate. You do not have to accept it. Do not be the therapist out here who is paneled with every single insurance company just because. Essentially, you're wasting your time and you're losing money. This is a business. We have business contracts with these insurance companies. Okay, next, your Medicaid ID number. Figure out if Medicaid is something that you want to accept. I accept Medicaid because I feel like most of my community has Medicaid. And for me to be able to serve my community, that is a plan or insurance that I want to accept. If you're accepting Medicaid, you get that Medicaid ID number. And then when you panel with insurance companies, which we'll go over, they'll ask you for the insurance companies that have Medicaid, do you have a Medicaid ID number? So you can both be paneled with their Medicaid and you can be paneled with their commercial insurance, because we know it's Medicaid, but Medicaid is normally joint with like United Healthcare, Aetna, CareSource. So you have to panel with the insurance company and also panel with Medicaid, if that makes sense. And Medicaid varies state by state, as we know. So my state here in Ohio will be different from someone else's state. We went through getting your numbers in order, your MPI, your tax ID, your Medicaid ID, if that's something that's needed. Now let's jump to the actual credentialing part. So you have your business formation. So you have your LLC, your EIN, business bank account, all of those things. And then you have your numbers, which identify you. You have your MPI, Medicaid ID, tax ID. Now you have everything in order where you can go and get credentialed with insurance companies. If you are self-pay, half of these things you probably won't even need to do. You'll still need to do LLC, EIN, liability insurance, business bank account, MPI, those things. When I talk about Medicaid or this next part, credentialing with insurance companies, you probably can stop the video or skip the video to the end when we talk about marketing. But credentialing with insurance companies, the first thing you'll need to do when credentialing with insurance companies is setting up your CAQH account. CAQH, and what that is, it's just a huge database where they can have all of your information stored. So they'll have your liability insurance, they will have your MPI, your business address, everything. And they work with the insurance company. So the insurance company is going to say, ask for access to your CAQH account. And it's probably pronounced some type of way, but I'm just going to use the letters. And that information gets dispersed to the insurance companies you're paneling with. That is the system insurance companies use to get your information instead of you typing it all out to them, which you may have to honestly do it double or do it twice. But they pull and then they can get updates from that site because you need to update that site every so often. So you'll put all your information in. And when you go to panel with insurance, they'll ask for that CAQH number and they pull your information from that site. Then once you set that up, you'll begin applying to be on insurance panels. So you'll begin to apply for Aetna, Molina, United Healthcare, CareSource, whatever the popular ones may be in your state, and you'll go through their applications. Now, in order to find these applications, Google Aetna provider credentialing. Some platforms have separate credentialing for behavioral health and the physical or physical side of things. So I can tell you a good one. United Healthcare. So they have United Behavioral Health, Optum, that they credentials completely separate. But as you search for things on their site, you'll be able to see this. And I do want to throw in that you can use companies to credential you. You can 100% use companies that will go out there and credential you for all the insurance panels. That is your choice if that's something that you want to invest in because you don't want to go through the ins and outs of it. But I want to go credential all myself. So that is a feasible choice for you. I'm not sponsored by any company, so I won't throw any names out there, and I didn't use any. But I do want to let you know that that is an option for you. So you'll go to Aetna provider credentialing, United Healthcare provider credentialing, and it will ask, are you a medical provider? Are you behavioral health? And you'll apply. Now, some companies take longer than others. United Healthcare was pretty quick, but Aetna is pretty long, at least here in Ohio. So as you're getting these panels set up, set yourself up for self-pay. Start taking some self-pay clients or try to market yourself for self-pay as insurance panels begin to roll in. So they'll panel you, you'll see the contract, you'll see your rates, you'll sign, and they'll tell you the date that you are active in their system to begin seeing people. Be sure to know what specific plans you're paneled with too. Insurance is a whole different ball game, and you'll learn that they have PPO, EPO, and all these different plans. So make sure you're familiar with who you're credentialed with, but you'll have access to their system. So when a client comes in and you have their insurance information, you can verify, like, yes, providers in network. You can call providers in network. It's also a good idea for your clients to call as well, so they can double check their copays that you're in network, and they can also double check their deductibles, if they have any deductibles. So it's not a surprise. You have to do your due diligence on the front end. So we're going to go ahead and panel with those insurance companies. And before that, we set up our CAQH account. And another thing to throw in there, check telehealth rules. I'm fully virtual, and I know when I tried to panel with some insurance companies, they told me that I must have a brick and mortar. I can be virtual, but I also must have a brick and mortar. So some insurance companies do not accept completely telehealth providers. So that's something else to check into if you want to panel with a specific insurance companies that may not accept telehealth only providers. Now that we got the credentialing out the way, setting up your EHR, and you may want to do this before the credentialing. You can either do it before or after, somewhere in between, but setting up your electronic health record system. I use Simple Practice. Again, this isn't sponsored, but Simple Practice, if you want to sponsor me, I'm available. No, I use Simple Practice. It was one of the ones that everyone around me was using, and I just did my research and I decided to go with Simple Practice. Some people say Simple Practice can be a little pricey, especially if you're starting a group practice. The fees can rack up, but you have therapy notes out there. You have a bunch of different EHRs. And the best thing that I did was I joined Facebook groups, private practice therapists, Facebook groups, opening a private practice, therapists in private practice. I joined all of those Facebook groups and I asked questions. I looked through forums. I looked at other people's posts. I compared things other people were saying. Facebook groups, when you're getting started in something, I swear by them. Like, they are the holy grail of getting free information. So join a Facebook group, especially when you start to have questions about insurance claims. I believe I'm a part of this Facebook group that's specifically for billing insurance companies in private practice, and they give so much useful information, and you can ask a question and someone's going to get back to you. So pick your EHR system and start setting up templates, your confidentiality, your progress notes, your intake documents. And when I say just the legal part of things, if you are not comfortable with creating these things on your own, it may be best to consult a lawyer. There's also a lot of templates out there that can get you started with setting up just the confidentiality, your progress notes. You don't have to relearn or reinvent the wheel. I know with Simple Practice, it comes with a pre-populated template, but I, of course, went in and made changes based off of the advice that I was given or just things that I've seen from where I worked previously that I'm like, oh, that's a good thing to add. But get your EHR, start setting that up, start setting your billing up and getting all your information in there and learn how the EHR works. Now, if you guys want me to go through like an EHR system, Simple Practice, what I use, I can do that, but there's a bunch of tutorials out there on how to use these EHR systems, so it may not be necessary. Establish your office policies, your late cancellations, your fees, your private pay fees, so putting those into your system, all of the like nitty-gritty pieces of the business. Write down a list of all the documents that you believe you will need to have and just start going through and checking them off as you complete those documents. After your EHR, choose a HIPAA compliant phone system, email, and text. So for email, I use Google. They have is it BBA or BAA? Don't quote me, whatever the abbreviation is, where you can make it HIPAA compliant, that you sign and all your emails going in and out is HIPAA compliant. Do not assume that a platform is already HIPAA compliant, because most of the time it's not. Google is not. You have to go in and sign that document for it to be HIPAA compliant. But I use Google for my emails, and then Simple Practice I use for all of my telehealth. So that's HIPAA compliant. I use it for payment methods, etc. And then for my phone system, so sending text messages or making phone calls, I use Spruce. That was another platform in the Facebook groups that I found people using. So I use Spruce Health, and I set up my after hour text message emergency. I have my voicemail, my phone, where it rings in. It gives me a phone number from Spruce, and it rings in, and it rings to my phone, or it rings to my admin phone. But we have that barrier of course, we're not using our personal phone number. We're using that platform to be able to communicate with our client. Okay, the last tidbit or the last big chunk is that marketing and visibility. So you have to market yourself in private practice. And I'm gonna give you guys a real nice gem here in a second. But with marketing, of course, we can use marketing platforms such as Psychology Today, Therapy for Black Girls. The list goes on platforms you can get yourself on and market. One tip that I found on Psychology Today is if you go in there and you play around with your profile every so often, it boosts you up in the algorithm. But if you just keep it and you don't mess with it, I notice you don't really get any contacts. But if you go in there and mess with it, it like pushes your profile up or something. I don't know. Researching and looking into these platforms on the ones that you can use to get your name out there, to get visibility out there, and having a process when clients reach out. How do you follow up? Do you send them the intake documents right away? Do you have a 15-minute consultation call where you meet with them? At first, I was having 15-minute consultation calls, and then eventually I stopped that. And the gem that I'm going to give you is, my fiance is a marketer, so he knows all about marketing. And I took some of his tactics from the other businesses he helps with marketing, because like I said, it's all a business. And I created kind of like they call it a video sales letter. And I posted it on my website, who I am, what services I offer, how the initial intake appointment is going to be, so people can watch me and watch the video, get to know me. They answer a few questions to make sure we're appropriate, and then they book an appointment. I know people who don't do any of that and they just allow people to book an appointment. I'm not too comfortable with that, because sometimes people walk into things blind. And I know people who do 15-minute consultation calls, which is really, really good. But when we think about our time, and as my schedule got busier and busier, I couldn't do the consultation calls anymore. So that is what I did to have on my website with questions to be able to kind of avoid that initial piece. And I may let them know your intake documents must be done by this time, or we'll have to reschedule your appointment. And my admin is reaching out to them, asking for intake documents and asking for these things that I'm needing. So it takes me out of the work that's not really generating me any income. Hiring an admin is very, very important. When you get to a point where you feel like you need to delegate, I highly recommend you hiring an admin for your private practice. Also use free platforms to connect. So use your social media, use your connections. That initial starting point of a private practice is grind, trying to get clients, trying to put yourself out there, getting exposure, get your headshots done, get your business cards done, record some videos, post some videos, do things that will put you out there. Make yourself a Google profile that would pop up if someone searched therapist near me. I know that I got a few people from doing that. I can make a whole segment on marketing, and maybe that will be a later video, but just to get started, these are some of the tips that I recommend for you to begin with when it comes to marketing. Like, I can go into growing your email list, sending out text messages, sending out emails. Again, I'm getting married to a man that is the marketing genius. So I can talk about marketing and ads all day, but we are at the beginning and we are surface level and getting started with our private practice. So we will start here. Okay, guys, that was a lot. I know that was a lot. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments and I'll be sure to reply to them. Start slow and build sustainable systems. Build systems on how you want your business to operate and how you want your business to grow. Don't overbook yourself at the beginning. Continue to learn. Get in these groups. Maybe find a mentor who can teach you how to continue to build and grow your private practice. Never stop learning. Always be a student. I changed probably my intake documents 100 times before I felt like, oh yes, I got it right. My notes and documentation to be able to make sure I'm compliant. If I got audited in these Facebook groups, they will talk about them getting audited and what pieces were missing from their session notes. Like, I'm not joking with you guys. Get this free information. I changed my session notes probably about 20 times before I said, okay, I think I have every piece of information that I need. Your assessments, your treatment plans, you do not have to reinvent the wheel. And then once you feel like you have your bearings, figure out how you can expand your income outside of the therapy room so you are not locked down to one-to-one sessions while you're also trying to build a business as well, because you are running your own business. You can go ahead and check out my video that I'm going to link above regarding expanding your income outside the therapy room, where I talk about digital products and I go a little in depth on how that process has been for me. Starting your practice doesn't mean you have to do it all at once. You can build it up step by step, but the key is being consistent. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Share this video with someone who is thinking about starting their own solo practice or group practice to learn the initial steps to get started. Again, we post videos every single week, so I hope to see you guys here again next week.